still of night, where shadows creep. Dan and Norm guide us, no secrets to keep. Through the ancient woods, where lost souls sigh, Bigfoot watches from the depths, lurking nearby. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Echoes of laughter from realms out of sight. Ghostly apparitions dance in the pale moonlight. In haunted halls where shadows entwine, Dan and Norm lead us through the veil of time. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Through fog and fear we venture deep into ancient mysteries where secrets sleep. With every heartbeat we draw near to enigmas hidden in the atmosphere. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. So hold on tight as we drift away. Dan and Norm will return another day. In dreams we'll wander where shadows roam free. At the gateway to the unknown, come explore with me. As echoes linger in the night's embrace, ancient mysteries whisper, they leave a trace. With every thought that fades into dark, the gateway awaits, it ignites a spark.
Witchcraft rituals and spellcasting have captivated human imagination for centuries, weaving through folklore, religion, and modern spirituality. From ancient pagan ceremonies to contemporary Wiccan practices, these rituals often serve as tools for personal empowerment, healing, and connection to nature. In recent years, there's been a significant resurgence of interest in witchcraft, with many individuals embracing it as a form of self-expression and spiritual fulfillment.
Welcome to the Gateway to the Unknown podcast. I'm Dan Hegman.
And I'm Norm Domek.
Each week we explore the mysterious, the unexplained, and the downright spooky.
Today we're delving into the world of witchcraft rituals and spellcasting. Are these ancient practices mere superstition, or do they hold real power?
It's a very interesting phenomenon, Norm. Let's find out. Some real-life examples. Some of these I was actually surprised myself. I was not aware of them. In 2003, a Reddit user shared their experience with a manifestation spell. After performing a ritual, they asked for a sign that they were on the right path. Within a year, they secured an apartment, attributing this success to the spell casting effort. Now, I don't know about that. I'm kind of skeptical on that particular example. I think possibly just mere coincidence. I could be wrong, but what do you think?
Well, an entire year went by, so how long shortly after the spell does it have to happen for it to say that was the spell?
Well,
know what I mean?
that's true too, but still, I'm kind of on the fence post with that one. I think that's just mere coincidence and possibly a case of wishful thinking. That in
Yeah.
any event, another example, the Wiccan consultant on The Craft. During the production of the film in 1996, The Craft, the team brought in a practicing Wiccan to consult on the portrayal of witchcraft. To avoid offering real or offending real practitioners, they created a fictional deity named Manon for the character to worship. And I'm not familiar with that. I know I've seen a couple of the shows, The Craft, but again, I wasn't aware of that.
Mhm.
Another real life example: the Spellman House in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Lisa Soper, the production designer for Netflix, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, incorporated real pagan symbols and rituals into the set design. Her background in the occult influenced authentic representation of witchcraft in the series. And another example could be Vanity Fair. The rise of witchcraft in Australia. And this is interesting. I wasn't aware of this either. But in Australia, there's been a significant increase in individuals identifying themselves as witches. The resurgence is attributed to the accessibility of information online and the desire for spiritual paths outside traditional religions. Also, another real life experience, uh, the realism of practical magic. Three New York based witches agreed that the film Practical Magic accurately portrayed aspects of real witchcraft, particularly the themes of sisterhood and the use of herbs and the use of herbs in their rituals. Another example is the witchcraft renaissance. Modern witchcraft is experiencing a renaissance with many tuning in for the empowerment of the community. The movement is reflected in a growing number of online communities, resources dedicated to the witchcraft practices.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, with the power of social media and internet, there is so much more out there that's readily available today. Maybe not all of it is good, not all of it is bad, but I have a good feeling that it's had a lot to do with it. A lot to do with it. The younger generations, uh, they're enthralled with all these different social media sites, and they're tuning in daily, and it's definitely been an influence.
Would you say that maybe there's a resurgence because people are wanting to connect or reconnect with nature, or they know that something's missing in their lives because we've disconnected ourselves from nature so much, and to maybe this fills a natural
Void.
hole, yeah, void in our soul, and it's like, hey, maybe we should go ahead and let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Something to that effect. But I think the natural element really has something to do with it, in conjunction with the availability of information. And I think people are just giving it a go with the religion, the organized religions, the way they have been over the last, let's say, 20 years, maybe more. But a lot of it is coming out more that there's some problems within the churches. There's some problems within the synagogues. There's some problems within the organized religion. So people are kind of stepping away from that and saying, I feel like I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person. I hear that quite a bit these days. I don't do church. I don't do synagogue. I don't do this, that, or the other, but I will walk around in the woods. That's my church. Hunters say that all the time. This is my church. This is what I do to connect. And I think that that's an awesome thing. I really do. So
No, I have
those
to
are some of
agree
the
with you.
stories that I
Absolutely.
hear from a lot of the friends that we have, that shared friends. But there is a short story from Emily from Salem, Massachusetts. So if
Oh,
this isn't
wow.
the witch, the
Witch
witch
capital of the
capital.
world. Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, tell us
it's
about
called
what she has written in about what she submitted.
okay, it's called The Candle in the Window. And it says, let me take you back to last October, the week before Halloween, actually. The kind of New England night that feels like it's been waiting all year to spook you. The rain had just started. Soft at first, then steady, tapping at the window like impatient fingers. My apartment, a creaky second floor unit in a Victorian house just off Charter Street, felt unusually still. I had candles lit all over, partly for the mood, partly because the wind kept threatening to knock the power out. I just read a post in a local witchcraft forum about a simple protection spell involving a white candle, sea salt, and rosemary. I figured, why not? I wasn't doing anything important, and besides, Salem is practically soaked in this stuff. I gathered what I needed, lit the candle, and drew a circle of salt around it on the sill. I murmured the words from the post 3 times. My voice was steady, but part of me felt silly. It wasn't until I finished the final repetition that things shifted. There was a sound, not loud, but definite, like a sharp inhale. Then the candle flickered violently, though none of the others in the room moved an inch. And then it went out, just poof, gone. I froze. The windows were shut. No draft. I checked. My skin was covered in goosebumps, and the air suddenly felt thicker, like stepping into a steam room, but without the heat. I relit the candle, nervous now, and sat back down on the couch, watching it like a hawk. About 15 minutes later, I heard it, a cracking sound, then a crash. I bolted to the window just in time to see a massive tree branch splayed across the yard below. It had fallen from the maple tree just outside, and judging by the dent it left in the dirt, it hit hard. But here's the weird part. The branch missed my apartment window, the very one I set the candle on, by maybe a foot. If it had landed a little differently, it would have come straight through the glass. I stood there, staring, trying to make sense of it. Was it the spell? Coincidence? Maybe. But here's what stuck with me. When I looked back at the candle, the flame was perfectly still, like it hadn't moved since I'd relit it. Since then, I'd done the same ritual every month on the full moon. Nothing dramatic has happened again, but I don't miss a month. Because that night, well, it felt like something heard me, and whatever it was, it listened.
Well, I don't know. This, this subject to creep you out at all?
I think maybe, and because like you said, some people have not so honorable intentions, and if it works, it's going to work for the positive and for the negative. And something positive for somebody might be negative for somebody else. So I guess that would be perspective. I mean, look at Star Wars, for example. You've got the stormtroopers who were the bad guys, but they're in white, which is kind of weird. And there's a whole fan fiction theory about that says that the stormtroopers are the good guys. That's why they're in white. But we're being told from the other perspective. So that's pretty interesting into itself. But I don't want to get too far off track here. There's the whole duality. With all of these topics that we talk about, there's the duality of good and evil, light and dark. So do I believe that this could work? I absolutely do, because I think it's about intention. I think telekinesis could be intention. Our minds can do things if we're tuned in enough, whether it's to move something or to not move something. Our bodies are amazing physically, but combined with our minds, there's so much there to study. Like when a car is trapped on a toddler and a 90-year-old woman will go and lift the car up off of the child. Those stories are out there and they're true. So I think it matters about the intention. So yes, I think that this is true. I think that it can be used for good or not so good, but I think that depends on the perspective of the person that is casting the spell or spell casting. It's all about intention. I think that having the herbs and the salt and whatever other items are around, I think that gives our mind something to focus on, and the mind can then create the reality, whatever that might be. We're always told, if you can conceive it, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Well, what does that mean? That means that if you could think about it, if you can visualize it, if you can see it happening, that quantum side of things, it's kind of like you're going forward in time, if you want to look at it that way, and creating that situation. And then the physical body now, in physical mind, physical consciousness, what we would call now, is just going to catch up with it. Was that a really long answer to a very short question?
Yes. Next question. Do you know of, or do you personally know any practicing witches?
I do. And they're all amazing people. It's not like the storybooks where they're pointed hats and warts and they're hiding out and trying to steal children and all of this stuff. No, they're bankers and they're lawyers and they're people who are just people. Their spiritualism is a little bit, I'm not going to say it's different. It's different than the mainstream. But looking at Australia, maybe the mainstream is witchcraft, or will be soon. We have the Roman Catholic Church, and we have the synagogues, and we've got all of these different religions and buildings to practice religion. And that's at the forefront because we're told this is the way it's supposed to be. These are the clean cut Catholics or Christians or whatever it is. But even within that, you've got spin-offs of a particular Christianity and non-denominational Christian and Pentecostal and all of these other things. We clap in church. We don't clap in church. What? I have heard of entire churches splitting over whether they should actually sing or clap in a church.
Wow.
To me, at that point, you've lost sight of the bigger picture. I wasn't in that church. I just heard stories. But how often does that happen when the elders decide that they don't like Martha's ham and they're going to get her out of the church? And that's where some of these witch hunts have come from. It was the older women who saw a younger woman who was maybe thinner, maybe more beautiful, and they were jealous. So they said, "Oh, she's a witch."
Burn her.
Or dunking and all of those things. I mean, that was a real thing. They treated these people horribly because of what they believed. Now that has shifted towards a political type of thing, not a religious type of thing. The whole red and the blue and all of that. I hope that changes, but I don't want to get too far off the topic. I think that the witches that I know are stand-up people, and instead of taking the blood of Christ and the Eucharist, they'll sit in the woods and put salt in their hand and blow it and say words of intention about positive things, health and happiness, and all of those things that we all want to have a higher quality of life about. So I believe it. I know them. I don't practice myself. I'm not judgmental in any way. I'm very interested in what they do and how they reach their goals in terms of wishing people health and wishing people prosperity. If that's their mechanism of intention to help people live a better life, I'm interested in that. It may not be something that I do. I may not go and get a handful of salt. I would much rather put that on some pork and put it on the barbecue.
There you go. There you talking about food again. Doggone you.
Well, is that witchcraft? I mean, they've got salt and they've got herbs and they're doing all these things. But most of the witches that I know, they're all vegetarians, which is interesting. Wow. They live a very clean, healthy life. They do.
I know of a few practicing witches, and a couple of them are drop dead gorgeous. They're not the ugly, wrinkled up, pointed nose, warts all over them. But then I know a couple women that they're haggard looking, and they make no bones about it. They're practicing witches, and I'm sure that there is a very, very dark and very, very evil side to witchcraft. And I am sure, as we are both on this podcast, that there are practicing individuals that are into the very, very dark and very evil side of witchcraft. But it's like anything, you have good and bad, or good and evil with both. And it's not something that I personally invite into my life. I keep an open mind. It's a topic of interest. I don't practice it, but it's worth diving into. It's worth researching and checking out the good and the bad. And it's just, take New Orleans, for instance,
Oh, yeah.
or, you get down into South America or Jamaica, where they're practicing voodoo. Is voodoo a form of witchcraft, or could it be a form of witchcraft? I believe so. And that might be getting into the darker or more evil aspect of witchcraft. But, a lot of that stuff, you just can't explain away the phenomena to it. There's definitely something to it.
Sure. And you were talking about the darker side of witchcraft, and there's good and there's not so good. I would say that's in every religion. I mean, again, look at the Catholic Church. There are really amazing priests, and there's some that ended up in the newspaper.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think that that's going to be true everywhere. I think that you said it's worth looking into the good and the bad. I think if you were to say, "Hey, can you show me what you do?" I don't think we would see the darker side if that was something that they did. I would guess be hidden, but I would think that by and large things are done for gainful purpose. That's why we go to work, would have jobs and that kind of thing. But in terms of witchcraft, I would say that things are done for a positive reason. If you do a spell to get a woman, what if that woman is in love with someone else? How does that work?
Well, that
I'm curious.
concocted love potion, if she is in love with somebody else, and you go out and you have somebody mix you up a powerful love potion that is going to make that woman fall in love with you, then she's less likely to stay in love with that individual that she's currently in love with. My luck, it would backfire. Oh, I do have to say this. Our listeners out there, and they're far and wide.
11
Yeah.
countries at this
Yeah,
point.
11 countries, which is absolutely amazing. And thank you, thank you, thank you, uh, from the bottom of my heart. And I'm sure Norm feels the same way. But
I do.
please, beg of you witches out there, if you're going to cast a spell, I'd like to see some finances show up in my future. I don't know about you, Norm, but yeah,
I'm good on
could
that.
throw a
I'm good
throw
on
a good spell my way that I come into a whole lot of money, and I promise I will share it with you. I definitely will.
I'm all right on the cash for now. I what I would like though, I mean, I need a how should I put this? I need a snake charmer spell. I need something.
Shame on you.
Let's do that. Hey, look, I just call it like I see it. If we're gonna
Forget it, Norm. I'm not about to bring my flute over and try to charm that snake. No way.
okay, can we move on to conspiracy theories,
Yes,
Mister Hagman?
let's check out some conspiracy theories. And of course, with everything, you've got conspiracy theories. And what would life be without conspiracy theories? One would be the witch cult hypothesis. Suggests that accused witches were part of a secret pagan religion that worshipped and honored God. And I believe that during the witch trials, Salem, they were put to death and they were burned alive. Another conspiracy theory, and the poor government, they get their bad rap no matter what we do. But government surveillance. There are claims out there that modern witches are monitored due to their unconventional belief and practices. And I kind of have to agree with that. If there is anything to this, and these practicing witches are having results. I'm sure the government wants to get their hands in on that and take advantage of it and capitalize on it. Why wouldn't they? And another one is Hollywood's hidden agendas. And this does not surprise me at all. Some believe that the entertainment industry uses real spells in the media to influence their audiences.
I agree with
How
that.
many times have we heard that they insert subliminal messages into the interval blankings of that show that you're looking at, give you ideas and to captivate you and to keep you glued to the TV? I firmly believe that no way, shape, or form is Hollywood, any way, shape, or form, innocent of not being into this and have a hidden agenda.
Well, the name itself, Hollywood, has to do with witches. The wood of the holly tree was what the wands were made out of. Still are, but not as much. Now there are other things, but originally it was the wood of the holly tree. So in its name, right there, is the first inkling that there's something else going on.
Oh, yeah.
And with as far as the messages that are woven in and kind of hidden, the imagery that's there, it all does something. The flashing lights, there's always a flashing light sequence in sci-fi movies and things like that. That's a real thing. I mean, there are so many programs out there. It's not just witches in Hollywood. There's other things that it's kind of like they have a show, a TV show, and they try to fit in as many, I don't want to say weaponized programming, but there's more things in there. And a lot of it is called backmasking. If you've ever heard of that, that's the messages that are inside the programming that we see. And we don't even know that it's there. And the scary thing to me is what's in the children's shows. How are they being influenced from a very, very early age? I mean, these kids, they get phones shoved in their face from the very first day. It might be lullabies. It might be some cartoon that's a popular children's cartoon. But what's in there? And the frame rate is very fast, so it keeps their attention. And it's a lot of blinking lights, a lot of flashing lights. So there's the flashing light right from the beginning. So what else can be put in there? There are a lot of companies that will increase the frame rate. The scenes change very quickly. And there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of that. And then when these kids go to school, they're bored because the teacher can't sing and dance and keep up with the cartoons that they've been raised on. And so the kid doesn't sit still. And what do? They put the kid on some kind of medicine, or they can't sit still, they have ADHD. No, they've been hyper-stimulated from an early age. There's nothing wrong with that kid. And they just feed them a bunch of medicine. And I don't think medicine is the answer. I really don't. I was a school teacher for years. And I remember in the morning looking around, and this is high school, probably 20 kids in class, looking around, and they took their medicine before they got there because you can't take medicine at school. And when that medicine wore off, they were like regular people. But until then, it was just like, so I'm trying to teach a math lesson, and they're just looking. I used to tell them, push your pencil across the paper here. Let's go. Let's do this. They couldn't do it. Their mind wasn't in the right mindset because it was just chemically altered. So I'd have to wait. And we would just talk and do whatever, try to get things going with low risk activities because it was an industrial environment. And then once that wore off, then I can go and do the lessons. And it was tough. And the kids that weren't on the medicine noticed it too.
Sure,
They're like,
sure.
They would say, he's not normally like this. He's different in the afternoon classes. And it's not my place to say, well, I think it's the medicine. I'm not a doctor, but I am observant. It was just one of those things that I didn't love that about our educational system that was quick to put medicine into these kids. But the educational system is part of the entire military, industrial, educational, pharmaceutical complex. Put that on a t-shirt.
There you go. Yeah. Well, Norm, there are probably a lot of facts that are associated with witchcraft and spell casting. Do you have any facts that you can share with us?
I do. Witchcraft practices, they vary widely across cultures and traditions. such as churches that are Christian churches or Pentecostal churches or whatever. I mean, if they all believe in one God, but there's different ways to get there, this is kind of the same thing in terms of we know where we want to go. There's different spells, there's different ways to get there. So the witchcraft practices themselves vary. And not all witches identify with Wicca. Many follow different spiritual paths. And there are many different kinds, just like there are many different kinds of churches. It's the same kind of thing. You can try to put a label on it, try to put it in a neat box so we can understand it. We do this, we don't do that, or the other churches believe in this, but we don't. There's a lot of that in every type of spiritual path because spiritualism is very personal. And, how a single person connects to the creator or God or the universe or nature may be different than somebody else. So when you try to get as many people together, you're going to have many different ways to connect from where you are to where you think you need to be. But spellcasting often involves setting intentions and using symbolic actions. So with that said, would spellcasting be a type of prayer? Or is it a prayer if we're going to define a prayer? Maybe. I would say that people who are in a Catholic church, or I keep using that as an example, but let me just say any structured organization, how do they feel about spells being described as prayers? Probably not positively. So a couple more facts here. Modern witchcraft emphasizes personal empowerment and connection to nature. And rituals can serve as a form of meditation and stress relief. And the last fact that I have is the resurgence of witchcraft is linked to a desire for alternative spiritual practices. Because what's out there has not been working for a lot of people. So people are trying to find something that works for them.
Alternative ways.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you take witchcraft, I'm sure for more people than what we realize, witchcraft would be their religion. Like you have Presbyterian or you have Baptist or you have a Catholic church. I'm sure that there are those out there that witchcraft is their form of religion.
Yeah. There's a spider crawling on me. What's going on?
He won't eat much.
Yeah, but we're sitting there talking about witches and I have a spider crawling on me.
Ah,
Is it like, what's going on? Is that good luck? I think spiders in the house are good luck. Is that what that
somebody's
is?
casting a spell on you.
Hey, well, maybe I'm going to need that snake charmer sooner than later.
Creepy. I don't like spiders. I'm sorry. I'm not a spidey kind of guy. I don't care if they're little wee dinky ones or medium sized or big ones. I don't like any of them.
Yeah. Well, Spider-Man was that was my superhero growing up.
Oh, then it won't bite you then. You're safe.
Yeah, it just feels weird crawling around my ear. Ugh.
Well, they say not so much spiders. You got me itching now. Doggone it. Centipedes. You ever have a centipede shoot across your floor? House centipede? They say that don't kill them. They say they're actually a good thing to have in your home. And just like spiders, I don't care for centipedes either, but they claim that they take care of all those little pesty pests, spiders and stuff like that. That's what they feed on.
Are you talking about like they're like hairy looking? They're
thousand legger type crawly looking.
There's some brown ones here in southwestern Pennsylvania. They're brown centipedes. They're kind of flattish and kind of shiny. There's those, and then there's the other kind in the house that are like furry. They almost look like a caterpillar and a centipede had a love baby.
Yeah. Those are the furry ones are your common house centipede.
I don't like them.
No.
I don't know what to say. They just freak me out. Because I don't want them crawling in my ears at night. Like that's the only thing I don't want. Like I'm a live and let live kind of guy, but don't live on me when I'm sleeping. It's kind of like they say that we swallow 100 spiders a year. You ever hear that? There's some fact. Sleep. We swallow stuff in our sleep.
You got my skin crawling from head to toe, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, this makes me miss the episodes where we talked about food the whole time.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I'm all itchy now. Ugh.
Well, let's talk about some psychological aspects of witchcraft and spell casting.
Okay.
The belief in witchcraft can fulfill the psychological need for control and understanding in an unpredictable world. Engaging in rituals to provide a sense of structure and purpose, helping individuals cope with stress and uncertainty. And the act of spell casting can serve as a form of self therapy, promoting mindfulness and intentionally everyday daily life in daily life. And I believe that. I believe that there are people that they'll go to work or they'll go out and they'll have a very, very stressful day. And when they get home, they'll perform witchcraft or spell casting to relieve their stress. And I firmly believe that.
Well, yeah, and I've seen buildings, outside buildings. There's one that sure does look like something like, I don't want to say a pentagram. I don't know what it is, but there is a geometric pattern. As soon as you get off the ramp to Grand Street to go downtown, right there on the left, there's something. There's a circle with a shape, and it's inside the stones. That looks like it could be used for something. I don't know if it is or not. Maybe it's just coincidence by looking at television and seeing the salt and the star and the candles at the points and all of that. But there's lights at each of these points. It's a light. It's an electric light at each of these points. I'll take a picture of it. I was downtown twice today, but I'm going to take a picture next time I go, and I'll send it to you, or we'll put it on the website.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah. I mean, just stand right there at the light. You look over and there it is on the ground. It's done in marble or stone or whatever. It's a permanent thing. It's not chalk or whatever. It's just there.
Wow.
So, and I get the impression, and I might be wrong, but I get the impression that it looks like it could be used for that. Not
Yeah,
saying that it is.
very possible.
Very possible. How do some of these people who are in charge stay in charge? Is it intention? Is it getting like-minded people together? People tend to hire their friends or people who their friends know. And if you all go to the same gathering in the forest, what are you going to do on your lunch break? You know what I mean? Or after
That's
work.
true. Yeah.
So,
Good point.
and it's like anything else, birds of a feather, right? If people golf on the weekends, they're going to find a way to infuse that into their work. If they like to cook, they're going to find a way to infuse that into their work. If they are witches, they're going to find a way to infuse that into their work, no matter what it is. So, and with that, the psychological side of this is witchcraft has influenced psychological norms and challenged traditional power structures. Historically, accusations of witchcraft were often used to suppress those who deviated from societal expectations. In contemporary times, the embrace of witchcraft can be seen as a form of resistance against patriarchal systems, promoting feminist ideals and alternative spiritualities. So, again, birds of a feather. Birds of a feather. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, not really.
Spiders. There's spiders on me. I'm going to be dreaming of spiders tonight.
Oh, you have another one?
I don't think so. I think it's more psychological at this point.
Do you have
But
hair blowing on you? Maybe it's just that you have a wild hair.
I got a couple of wild hairs,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Look, let's talk about pop culture.
Sure.
Let's do that.
You got to quit talking about spiders. I'm crawling here.
Although I've eaten some before. Have you ever fried tarantulas? You
No.
ever have those?
No, I'll pass, but thank you very much.
They taste like potato chips.
No.
When I was overseas. What's the craziest thing you've eaten food-wise when you were overseas?
Kimchi?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'd say probably. I
That was
probably ate stuff that I didn't know that I was eating, and if I probably would have known, I probably have eaten all that stuff and just didn't know it.
yeah.
But
Oh, fried
hey,
spiders, fried beetles.
they claim that tarantulas they say they're really flavorful, but I don't think I could do it.
It's like popcorn. It just depends on how you season it. And the one I had was really good. It was garlic, onion, salt and pepper. And it was fried and it tastes like it really tastes like a potato chip. It was fantastic. I think I
Wow.
had a box of like 10 or something like that. It was they get a piece of newspaper and they make a cone out of it and they throw these spiders in there, put them around and put them in your cone and crunch, crunch, crunch.
You ate the
Nice and
whole
hot out of the
box.
fryer. What's that?
You ate the whole box.
Oh yeah, 10. They go down to nothing, you know. They just fry up to nothing. But the back, I can't remember what you could the abdomen or whatever, that was good. And they fry it off. There's some hairs on the back of a spider that they fling like it's like a porcupine. They fling these things. And I didn't know that until I actually had a pet tarantula. Oedipus Rex was his name, Oedipus Rex. And I'd let him go around the apartment and I'd come home and he'd come to the door like a dog. It was the craziest thing. It's a big tarantula. And I had a couple beers one night and I was petting him and I went to work. I go to it was in the military and I go to my hand was just itching. I couldn't stop it. It was like fiberglass. It hurt so bad. And I get in there and the guy's like, I don't know what that is. It looks like it hurts. I'm like, it does hurt. It itches. And it was just this big red. It looked like somebody got a cotton ball with red dye and just put it on my skin, a big red circle. And so he's asking me if I got bit by anything. I said, no, no, no. And I said, well, I was petting my pet tarantula. I'm like, first off, why did you have a tarantula? And I said, why were you petting it? And I said, well, it's a pet. You're supposed to pet pets. That's in the name.
Six.
They're all laughing. Captain's laughing. And he said, what happened was the hairs in the back, I pushed, the spider didn't fling them at me. I pushed my hand into them and they got in me. That's how
Embedded. Yeah.
it took about a week. Oh, it was like fiberglass. If you ever been itchy
Oh
and
yeah.
fiberglass, it was like that. But the hairs go in and then they break off. They're like glass. But that's what happened. But I digress. I guess I got him as a pet because I felt bad from eating the other ones, so I treated that one good. I even took him on the ship with me.
No
I
way.
we had a stowaway. Yeah, it was an Oedipus Rex the stowaway, and I had the hardest part was trying to. He ate like crickets and stuff, so every time it was lights out, chirp, chirp, chirp. But I told all the guys around me, hey, we don't have to mention that to anybody. So,
So I
but I had a
have
lot
to
of
ask you. I have to ask you, Norm, what happened to it?
I we were on a 2-week deployment. That's why I took him out with me. I couldn't keep enough crickets for longer. I took him home and I was going to go on a long deployment over towards Iraq, Afghanistan, all that stuff over there. So before I went on deployment over there, I gave him to my little brother. So that was it. But he was a good pet. He was cool. He was cool.
If you say
Halloween
so.
Halloween would come and I'd put him in his little cage because I'd only put him in the cage when the apartment people would come and spray for bugs. So when they come and spray for spiders, I'd put him in the container. But he was in there and he would just kind of sit in there. And when Halloween would come, I'd get those big candy bars, those really big Hershey bars or whatever, and I'd put them in there. And the little trick or treaters would knock on the door and they'd say trick or treat, and I'd be sitting there drinking a beer. I'm like, there's the candy bowl, and they'd go over and they'd see the spider, and I'd have a candle behind it, so the shadow they would cast on the wall would be huge, and it would be moving. It was the best Halloween decoration ever. And I'd say, if you
Six.
want candy, there it is. Most of them didn't take it. I had like 10 of those real thick candy bars, and I put them in there. I think I only had one or two takers. I had a mom yell at me, "How dare you do that? This is trick or treat Halloween." I said, "Trick or treat. What do you want?" So
Wow.
she wanted me to take the candy bar out and give it to her. I said, "No, your kid's 8. Let them live a little. You live a little. I don't care who gets it. I'm not taking it out. If you want the candy, one of you get it." She
Wow.
left. She didn't take the candy. She just left. So
Unbelievable.
yeah, but that was it. So anyway,
Well, let's talk some pop culture.
let's do it.
1996, The Craft. That was a film that inspired a generation of teenage witches. And there again, kids, teenagers, they can be influenced very easily. So, no doubt there's a lot of truth to that. Another one in pop culture, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That was a Netflix series. It incorporates real pagan symbols and rituals. In 1998, you have Practical Magic, praised for its realistic portrayal of witchcraft. Another one is the American Horror Story Coven, and that explores themes of witchcraft and female empowerment. And I know we just briefly touched on empowerment, but I really believe that are into witchcraft, that really gives them a sense of power. And that's probably one of the reasons why they do it. And then, of course, you have The Discovery of Witches, based on All Souls trilogy, blending our Archimedia and magic. And I think I pronounced that right, but
No, you didn't. You're way
I
off.
didn't. I
But
blew it. I blew it. But
academia.
academia, yes.
That's okay.
And you know,
So
you want to hear something interesting?
no.
Get your phone and ask Siri. Ask Siri, what is ACADEMIA? And I guarantee you're not going to get the correct answer.
Okay. So what?
She should give you the terminology for a completely different word.
You want me to do it now?
Oh, go ahead.
Live?
Enlighten us.
Let's see.
And if yours works, I'm going to smash my phone.
What am I asking it?
Ask Siri, what is, and then spell it out. ACADEMIA.
Hey Siri, what is academia? I messed that up. Let me stop.
You got to spell it out.
Okay, that's not what I want. Sorry. I'm trying to work around the teleprompter that's on here. Let's try this again. Hey Siri, what is academia? ACADEMIA.
Here's an answer from Wikipedia and practicaladultinsights.com.
It's not saying it, but it says academia.
Ask her again, and when you ask her, don't say academia. Just say, Siri, what is ACADEMIA? And tell me what she gives you.
It says it's the scientific and cultural research and higher education community. That's what I know it as. What do you know it as?
The terminology that I was getting, and I asked like a half a dozen times, unless I'm just not saying the letters correctly, but every single time she would give me the answer to a completely different word.
Okay. I'm pulling up on one phone so I don't spell it incorrectly. So let me take a picture with one phone.
I'm going to smash my phone.
Why? Why? Let's try this again. So I'm asking for the definition. Hey Siri, what is the definition of ACADEMIA?
Academia means the environment or community concerned with the pursuit of research, education, and scholarship.
Unbelievable.
What was it saying for you?
I was getting the word that she was giving me started with the letter C. And it wasn't academia. Academia, that has to do with academics. But
Right.
that certainly wasn't what Siri was giving. She doesn't like me. Oh, well.
It does.
I'll just attribute it to Siri not liking me.
Maybe.
Well, Norm, what can you tell us? Do we have any debunking attempts? Because I'm sure there are those out there that just totally think that witchcraft and spell casting is a bunch of hooey and bogus. What do we have in the way of debunking attempts?
Pretty much the same way as all the other debunking attempts. There's people that say that it's 100% true, and there's people say that it's 100% false, and that there's nothing to it at all. Like anything else, that can be skewed. The results can be skewed, but to try to debunk something, you just got to try to make it work. That's really it. You're trying to make something work or make something happen. And if it doesn't happen, then they say it doesn't work. Could this go back to how strong the intention is? Whether it's telekinesis, whether it's conjuring an angel, whether it's casting a spell? Is it how strong our mind connection is to the end result that we want? Does it have to do with free will, where we can create our own world in any way we want and create the circumstances in that world? Maybe. But what do we do? How do we debunk something? Maybe we have to take this section out of the podcast moving forward, because it's always the same answer. It's always the same answer, that if you want it to be true, it could be true. If you want it to be false, you could figure out a way to make it false. I looked for very specific trials, can't find it. Maybe it is true and they just don't want the results out, like everything else, like telekinesis, like angels, like all these other things that we've talked about in the podcast so far, and all the other things that we have lined up. I mean, remember, we have 54 of these things, and we're on this is episode 8. So we've got quite a bit to go, and there's going to be a lot of ground to cover. So we may adjust the format a little bit in a way that's going to make a little bit more sense, because the debunking is going to be the same for everything. Does it have to do with the observer? Does it have to do with intention and how strong that person's willpower is? And maybe the person can have strong willpower, but it's just not in the cards. It's just not supposed to happen that way. That love potion that or that spell may not work because that person is destined to be with somebody else to create a child that's going to be a president or something like that. So as much as we want something to happen, I mean, we can pray about something all day, but doesn't mean it's going to happen. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing that it doesn't happen. There's a song out there, and I don't know if it's the name of the song, but thank God for unanswered prayers, right?
Amen. Amen.
So,
Well, in conclusion, witchcraft rituals and spellcasting continue to intrigue and inspire, blending ancient traditions and modern interpretations. Whether viewed as spiritual practices, psychological tools, or cultural phenomena, they offer insights into human beliefs and behavior. We encourage listeners to share their experiences and stories related to witchcraft or any other paranormal encounters. And if you're into witchcraft, you practice witchcraft, God bless you. Stay safe. Do it with good intentions, because I don't know of anyone that can't or wouldn't be able to use a good spell. We truly appreciate you for tuning into our podcast. We want to thank you. We hope that you'll continue to come back. And future podcasts, we're new to this, so we're learning, we're growing, and it's all due to you, the listener. God bless you. Have a good day, and we'll see you on our next podcast.
yeah, take care in any of the 11 countries that you're watching and listening to us from. Thank you for all of that. Appreciate it. Goodbye.
Thank you. Amen.
In the still of night, where shadows creep,